From the author of Spinsterella, a strange and unusual romance, and Spellbound, a darker shade of black, comes the legendary Magic Children. Pick up the conclusion of the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers this Halloween. For the first time in over 25 years, we had an incident here in the New York City public school system where a student murdered another student. Now, I was in high school at the time when a student first murdered two students who were bullying him. And I remember that incident very vividly because I remember reading about that incident and watching it on the news when I was in high school. And this kid felt so tormented by his bullies, one day he decided to bring a pistol to school and he decided to murder the two individuals who were tormenting him. And in this incident that happened today, Abel Cedeno, who was 18 years old, decided he was tired of being bullied and tormented by Matthew McCree and Aran LeBoy at the Urban Assembly School for Wildlife Conservation. And these kids were doing things that bullies usually do, like throwing pens at people and needling people. And he just had enough. And he decided he had had so much of enough, he decided to take out a switchblade and stab both of these boys. Unfortunately, when it came down to the incident, Matthew McCree wound up losing his life. But this is what happens when schools do not take bullies very seriously. Now, I was bullied throughout junior high school and high school, and I know that many of these faculty are very apathetic on the junior high school and high school level. And they'll let situations with bullies escalate no matter what policies are put into place. And when it comes down to these policies, most teachers are extremely apathetic as related to these teenagers inside of these public school systems. So they don't really take bullies very seriously, and that's why these situations wind up escalating into these acts of violence. And in this act of violence, which is one of the more extreme spectrum, this was par for the course because most people don't see bullies as some sort of threat to people because they're not the ones being victimized by these bullies. And in many cases, they are often indifferent to the kid who is being bullied. So they don't really take it as something important. So that's why these situations wind up escalating to the point where they reach this point of critical mass. And these kids feel so powerless that they feel that the only way to stop these kind of bullies is to kill them. Because when it comes down to these bullies, especially these males who come from these single mother households, they just don't understand boundaries. And because they do not understand boundaries, they do not know when to stop. So they keep pushing, even though this kid has told faculty, even though this kid has told parents, even though this kid is even in some cases told law enforcement. These people from these single mother household, these males, they will continue to press because they are getting attention and they're not understanding the difference between positive attention and negative attention. So they'll continue to press, continuing to push in the hopes of getting more and more attention for themselves because they're getting a response from the person who's being bullied. And as they continue to respond to them, they continue to give them more and more power. This is what makes the bully continue to press on with their attacks, is that because they're getting attention and responses from the person who's being bullied, they feel like they're getting some sort of power. And in these situations, the bullied victim oftentimes feels so powerless because no one is trying to help them, no one is trying to support them, that they wind up feeling like they have no other course than to go out here and take a weapon out and wind up murdering this individual. Because when it comes down to these bullies, again, especially these males who come from these single mother households, these guys do not understand boundaries and they continue pushing, not knowing that they are pushing this person beyond their limit. And eventually when that person is pushed beyond their limit, they are going to snap and take action where they have to do something. Because in many cases, when it comes down to these bullies, the only way to make them stop, as I know from personal experience in some cases, is either to do two things: move yourself to another school, or this guy is going to have to wind up in a body bag, because these guys just don't know when to stop. And this is something that these guys learn because they have been socialized dysfunctionally in these single mother households. And these single mother households are an environment where boys are socialized to become bullies because they see their mother using bully tactics to control the household. And they use bully tactics where they make threats, where they are bullying and intimidating children, where they're talking at children. And this is how this male is socialized. And when they see a weaker male, what they do is they try to use the same bully tactics to try to control this individual and gain the power that they don't have in their own lives. And what was really disturbing about watching a news show regarding this whole bullying incident was how they turned the bully into a victim. Now, after this McCree kid died, they brought his single mother onto this Channel 11 news. And they made it all out like this boy was some sort of victim. And they made it like his mother was being victimized, when it was his mother who created this monster in the first place. Because when it comes down to these single mothers, they're the ones who create these dysfunctional Negro males who go out here and bully and torment other kids in school. And instead of asking hard questions to hold her accountable, the reporters on that newscast made it look like she was being victimized and that she was, and her son was some sort of victim when they weren't victims. And this is something that is par for the course when it comes down to bullies, because bullies, what a lot of people don't know about them, is that even in death, many of them are extremely manipulative. And what they will do is turn a situation around when a victim finally snaps and attacks them, and then turn themselves into a victim. This is something I wrote about in the pages of Spellbound when the Matilda character has a fight with the Chantel character, and this is something a lot of people don't understand regarding bullies. A bully, once the victim or the target snaps, they will attack the bully, and what the bully will do is turn themselves into a victim. And what this single mother did was turn her son into a victim to deflect from her being held accountable for her not dealing with her son's behavior. Because in this situation, if this situation was going on for as long as it did, she had to have known her son was behaving in the way that he was behaving, and she should have been making ways to check him. But no one wants to check bullies in these public schools. What they want to do is pay a lot of lip service to dealing with the situation regarding bullies, but they don't want to really take any sort of constructive action. I know this from personal experience going to IS 148 and Park West High School, that when it comes down to bullies, most faculty and administration, they'll pay a lot of lip service, they'll write a lot of policies, but they will not take any sort of constructive action, and that's why these situations wind up escalating. Now, this public school supposedly said that they didn't have any metal detectors in this building, but metal detectors would not have changed this situation at all. Metal detectors may keep some weapons out, but what most people don't know about public schools, what like I know, is that most public schools have side doors open all the time. And oftentimes, gang members and dope dealers, what they will do is they'll go through the metal detectors without their weapons, but their boys who are outside of the school at the side door will go and bring them their weapons. Why? Because they know that the side doors are always open, and they know that the side doors are always unsecured. When it comes down to these metal detector services, when I went to Taft High School, they always were at the front door, but they were never at the side door. And oftentimes they only came on varying days, not every day. They would come on the first Monday or the first Wednesday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, these kids could come in with weapons at any time and do whatever they needed to do. So the whole thing regarding weapons and metal detectors, you can put all the metal detectors you want. They're at the front door. They're not at the back door. They're not at the side door. And these dope dealers and these gangbangers, they bring their weapons in through their boys. And some of them are even tight with security, especially a lot of the dope dealers And the gangbangers, they know a lot of the security guards, and the kids who work with them know the security guards. So what they will do is they'll give it a pass because they're down with these guys, or they're getting nickel bags of weed, or they're getting whatever from these guys to bring their weapons in, so the weapons continue to come in. So when I listen to guys like Bill de Blasio talking about school security, they don't have a clue to what goes on regarding school security or bullying. Because when it comes down to these bullies, a lot of people don't understand how dangerous these situations get, and they don't know how they escalate. You have to understand. You have to have experience bullying to understand the situation and how dangerous it can get, and how powerless these kids feel. Because what makes them go out here and commit a murder of another student or another person who's bullying them, or attack another person who's bullying them, is that feeling of frustration, that feeling of powerlessness, and in some cases, that feeling of worthlessness, because this person has been beaten down so badly by these individuals and made to feel so worthless about just being themselves that they feel like they have no course of action to deal with this situation, because the people who will live, who are adults around them, don't take it seriously, and the people who are their peers don't take it seriously. So this person feels so absolutely powerless. They feel the only course of action they can take is to put this guy 6 feet under. Because this guy, again, in many cases, or even these girls from these single mother households, oftentimes are so relentless in their pursuit because they're getting attention and they're getting power, that they don't see how they're destroying this individual. And when it comes down to these bullies, sadly, most people don't see the warning signs regarding a child who's being bullied. They don't see how their child's behavior is changing. They don't see how their child is feeling so worthless, and how they're feeling or even are concerned because they don't see what this is doing to their child. And I look at this situation, which happened to this poor young man, and how it's going to change his life. There could have been efforts made to try to protect this young man and prevent this situation from going on. Unfortunately, most people in the public school systems all across this country don't take bullying seriously. They pay a lot of lip service to anti-bullying campaigns, but they don't take any constructive action to deal with the situation regarding bullies in public schools. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you'd like to read about Matilda and her plans and her way and how she overcomes bullies, you can pick up a copy of Spellbound in paperback or on e-readers. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.